Well, well, well. Look where where we're at now. um, hey, back plays here. Um, I did my reaction on Twitch. I'll upload that to the VODs or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna do a freaking banlist reaction video. Um, maybe I'll include a clip of it here, or like somewhere in this video. I don't know. Um, I want to talk about it a little bit. Just my own little thoughts, I guess. Hopefully the overlay here isn't too wacky skadoodle, and kind of shows off everything decently. Um, I am shocked by how many people are saying this list is bad. Um, because I think saying it's bad is a very drastic thing to say for hitting the bare minimum plus extra, to be honest. I don't think it fixes the format really. I'll not pretend it does. I think one a lot. Let's go over it a little bit. Let's talk about the ban cards. Lacrima, Apo, Calamity, and Beatrice. Calamity feels weird to be on this particular list, even though I really appreciate that is here. Beatrice needed it. Apo needed it. And I think Lacrima is definitely a really good target to hit out of Fiendsmith, actually. Thinking about it more. Um, this was just really good. Like I can't even be upset with what we got from hitting this card. This is like the card. If I was gonna point at any card, it'd be like the card. This one. This is it. Um, not really. I'd probably actually say the Link one. It's like Requiem, I think. Um, again, I'm not like the person to be talking about this. I don't haven't played competitive in at least a little while, or tried to be semi-competitive in a little while. But knowing how the deck plays, this is a strong card. This is the card that got you to any rank 6 you wanted with no thought process whatsoever, and did a whole bunch of extra stuff for the combo to make it actually feel really good. By getting back the funny man back into hand, so you can search the spell. Um, Now you gotta commit more extra deck slots to that through using like Necroquip and M7 to even get a simulation of that to feel right, and you're not even gonna really have an easy means to end on enough sixes to really make it worth a part of the M board. So there's that, and I think that's pretty good. It makes it to where people are not like gonna be upset that like, oh, Fiendsmith just no longer functions. In fact, looking at the lists that I've been seeing on Twitter, it seems like Snake Eye Fiendsmith might definitely still be a playable deck. I have my own thoughts on that, but that's a whole thing. This card is crazy good. Got the sixes out. Crucial part of the combo, and also is the funny burn card that wins in time. We love those. So frustrating. I'm so happy that this. I'm happy that the burn card got hit. If it wasn't the Link one. And this does feel like it does make an impact, like by a decent amount. So I'm okay with this. Um, let's go to those limits. Let's talk about those. Those are probably important. Um, Eva's not that big of a deal. The biggest part of Eva was Beatrice by a lot. Um, just being able to resolve it. I resolve it a couple times even, depending on how far back we go. It was just really good. Getting two fairies into hand for ultimateness, good. Getting orange light plus another or plus a diviner or something pretty good. I don't. I think that's just good. But that was all really facilitated by Beatrice in a lot of ways, and I'm not nearly as scared about it now. It's just more like I wouldn't be shocked if something else comes up later down the line, but I'm not gonna freak out about it now, at least. Drytron's in a different position in how it functions right now, and I hope it just functions like that instead. I think that's interesting enough still, even if it's not quite the same and limits it in terms of how you're building it in some ways. Um, Next two cards. These are the two important things I got limited. Ash and Poplar. I think Master Duel has like no hits to Poplar. I think they only have it to like they've hit like Wanted, Ash, and Bonfire. I think hitting Poplar to one and Ash to one is good actually. Um, Ash searching Ash is such a funny thing that somehow got passed. I don't know how that happened, but it happened, which is just insane to me. But now it's like Poplar is now like kind of this Garnet almost. Obviously, it still does a combo by itself to a degree, but it's not nearly as good. It's way worse. Um, and I feel like there's more choke points now because of the fact that you only get one Ash and one Poplar. I mean, yeah, they're pretty accessible cards still through having like the bonfires, the Diabell stars, and the wanteds. It's like it's not like, oh, we lost all access to these cards just because of where they're at. But I think it hits it in an interesting way that will definitely make it not feel as good, as well as make the grind game feel not as good. That's the big one actually. I look I looking at some of the lists, like MBT posted a list, um, and went to a locals to try it out, and it was good for him at that locals. I don't know how accurate that's going to be for the format, though. I think this, while Snake Eyes still going to be a playable deck, I think Snake Eyes is going to be a playable deck. I think it's a much more. I think it has a bigger problem now. I think it has a problem of like it's in this position to where it's kind of mainly just like a build a board deck that has no real follow up. It does. But it's kind of easy to prevent it from having good follow up. Like, I think, for example, a lot of the power of the Fiendsmith stuff all goes into the Link 2, I think, now, because it's like, that's the one that's actually recycling the resources so you can do more lines with it later. So if you can prevent that from resolving, you're already doing a lot to your opponent in terms of both their M board because you prevent the other fusion from getting on the board that just negates a card, as well as prevent the recurability in it. Two, without Beatrice, there's no connecting through line. It's just it's just link fodder now for the Fiendsmith stuff. And without Apo on top of that, it feels much more manageable. It just I'll be real, it looks way more manageable even if you still can get like a lot of stuff on the board with like the silhouette rabbit link to for a trap monster and that interruption and an IP on the board and stuff. Like you can still make a crazy board. I'm not gonna say you're not making like a cool board or like a good board even. You're making a pretty alright board at all things considered. I think like 4 pieces of interaction still crazy good. It's just 4 pieces of interaction that are not that isn't repeatable. This isn't like a repeatable thing that you can really manage all that well. I think well-timed hand traps actually do a number to Snake Eye now. Like well-placed, well-timed hand traps will actually affect how good Snake Eye actually functions. Like there might be like actual feasible choke points that Snake Eye can't really play through. Like they might be able to play through one hand trap, but definitely are not like getting through the second one, for example. So like the non-engine needed to beat is not nearly as high as like the three hand traps that would do it, or something like shifter being a necessity because it's just like no, you're like imperm probably can do a lot of work in terms of handling a lot of the mess. Um, the gimmick puppets, putting both of one probably is correct. I don't think we need to like figure out that there's a way around a workaround that still lets you FTK if there's more copies of the Chaos one for some reason. We're just putting them both to one, just probably for the best, probably the easiest thing you can do in terms of just uh curbing the stupidity of that. I wish they also hit the field spell too, just to be on the safe end, like they are with the other archetype up ahead. But this is a fine hit. Brand Fusion, there's a lot to say on Brand Fusion. Um, and we'll get back to that a little later. Opening Spirit Gates, that's a hit to Ubel. I want to see Ubel do well. I'm very interested in how Ubel plays. Like, it's actually really interesting in what it does. And it hasn't been doing as much as it potentially could be this format because of Snake Eye just being there and doing slightly more, even though I think Ubel could easily keep up with it to a degree. I think this hit does a bit in helping out stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ubel is like the best deck now with this list. Like I think Ubel is definitely the winner of this list in a lot of ways because they didn't Ubel didn't need Beatrice. Ubel mm, used Apo, but like you already had like so many like different forms of negation or interactions on top of the Apo to where I feel like Apo mattered way more to what Snake Eye was trying to do with their M boards. Like they were making Nightmare Phoenix to protect the damn thing, for crying out loud. It's like they were actively thinking about it in a very different way. Um, so I will say, just Apple being out of the game actually helps so much. I think that's a big thing. I think Apple being out of the game does a lot, but um, like looking at like the Snake Eye extra deck, it's so just weird in the way that's just like it doesn't feel overwhelmingly strong. It feels much more manageable now, even if it can technically do its one card combo to get everything set up. Um, but anyways, prosperity hit poggers. I have done my own damage even with prosperity on like online for a bit, and that was a while ago. Admittedly, that was like 2 years ago or just shy of 2 years ago at this point. But still, just like Prosby is a stupid card, and it's not like you needed it to like it hits Tempai in a good way, and I appreciate that. But it's also just like the card that grabs you any silver bullet that you needed, really. Like if you see Prosby in hand, you're almost guaranteeing that you get your super polys, your different dimension, whatever's your skill drains, your just any floodgate really. You just guaranteed any of the easy floodgates. It's just so strong. And with especially with Tempai being the deck that it is, finding the board breaker you need or just getting consistency up while also killing your opponent through it anyways because that you do so much damage. I think this is a great hit. I think Prosperity needed to get hit. I would like to see the other pots too. I am not a big fan of just Pot of Greed. And every time the other two pots are used, it is just Pot of Greed. There's no downside to using them. But we'll see how that plays out in the future. I think Prosperity being up one of those, fine. Great even. Sanguine Summoning? F you, Tempai Dragons. I'm sorry. If you were more interesting, and maybe you will become more interesting now that you aren't guaranteed to just open field spell and not care about what I'm doing at all. Maybe I'll have an interesting game of Yu-Gi-Oh on our hands. Maybe. Grass. I love grass. I don't know what grass is doing. I'll be real. Um, looking at like I think grass will definitely be live whenever you want to activate it. That said, it's such a silly choke point. I mean, it's much more accessible now. You don't have to like necessarily be like left arm offerings with the damn thing. You can just use thrust instead, and that's way better. I mean, you probably do both depending on the deck, but it's just like I don't know. But Paleo Sweep, I'm so excited to play more or to play some Paleo. I'm gonna put that deck together soon. Just you wait. And Skill Drains in one. Wish it was banned, but they did something about it at least. It needed to get a hit of some form, but the damn card should be banned with the other four continuous traps that are also sitting in this limited section. But that's fine. Um, again, holding off Brand Fusion for later. The rulers, all to two, whatever. If they're good, if they're like cool and not even the best thing to do necessarily in the drafty, I think having them at two here in a competitive setting is fine. Tiger is interesting. I actually think two Tiger makes the difference for Lunalight in how it functions. Um, with that said, I don't think it's necessarily good enough to really consider, but it does make that difference, and I do appreciate having two Tiger. Colossus to two. That's gonna be in the same conversation with Branded Fusion. Ib to two, that's fine. The difference between one Ib and two Ib is nothing. It's more impressive that one Ib isn't breaking the game. And going to the limits, Arm Knight is fine at three. It doesn't matter. Arm Knight does a little bit by itself, but we've banned every link related enabler that makes Arm Knight that strong, so I'm okay with it. Red Rose Dragon's a card that I always just felt bad for because I didn't think it was really that good of a card. I thought it was like a fine card. I think it's more just it's really strong in the context of like summer of 2022 because we were still not hitting Hulk, right? That was the reason it got to one with Shooting Riser. It was just like they were put in this weird spot because they didn't want to ban Hulk for some reason. So another sin from Hulk has been fixed, even now, which is so funny to me. It took till now to fix another sin. Is that all of them? I think the only one that we're relating on now is Global Ball, but I can see what that one's at least a little bit more annoying. Kieran to three. Kieran to three is interesting. I don't think you run more than two Kieran in whatever deck you're running it in, if even more than one. Um, It's a really annoying card, but it's a really annoying card for decks that don't see a lot of play, right? That's like the thing. I'm not like freaking out about this that much because it's not that big of a deal, I guess. Um, like a friend of mine's gonna make me upset when I look at him while playing at the card shop, but otherwise I'm not gonna like pretend that this is like the most dangerous thing off the list or anything. It's not. It's not even close. Flash Fire to 3. This is with the errata, pretty sure. Imagine if it wasn't, that'd be so silly. Um, Plush Fire was broken just because of the fact that you could just keep popping it and just keep getting guys. Getting one guy out of this is still pretty strong. I'm not gonna pretend that isn't the case. Um, this is making it into the next drafty. I will, I swear it is. I am really hoping it's not too much. Um, because perform mages are like good cards. Like every perform mage for the most part is like a playable card in something. So I'm not gonna pretend that like Plush Fire to even with the errata is gonna be weak. I just think it's gonna take we will see how it does once it gets new support over here on our end. AFT doesn't matter between 1 and 3 because of the errata. Dang long doesn't matter between 1 or 3 because it's dang long. You're not running more than 1 unless you're playing Yangzing, which is really funny in that case. And Time Seal, a card that somehow has just been sitting there in like the limited section for like at least a decade longer than it should have. I don't know. Yeah, let's have that conversation. Uh, Going back to that brand infusion and the clauses. There's like a group of decks that are like what I consider like the best, like the D5 decks of the format. It was like Snake Eye, Yubel, Tempai, Gimmick Puppet, and the last one was Ritual Beast. No hits to that damn deck. No Protoss reban, no Colossus reban. Not even like maybe like oh maybe just the problem card is actually Banshee, even though it's definitely not the problem card out of those. But who knows? Maybe it's supposed to be Banshee. No, nothing there. No, no, nothing. It's just Ritual Beast just won the ban list outside of losing Apo, which it matters. Like I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't, but like, is that it? Is the difference maker just like, are we just gonna, are we just hoping that Nibiru killing Ritual Beast is good enough? I hope it's good enough. I don't, I don't quite like believe in it enough to say that, but I hope it is. I don't know. I feel like it's still gonna be pretty okay, but we'll see, I guess. Um, yeah. Shifter also no hit here. Um, why? Why is Shifter illegal still? Come on. That is probably the most disappointing part, to be honest, is just Shifter surviving. I think Shifter needed it bad. I think we needed to hit more floodgates too to like handle the stun problem. I think hitting Skill Drain to 1 is good, but not great. It's not even like I don't even know if I can say good. It's like okay. It should have been way more strict on that. Um, but with that said, um, what else? Signifier lived. Ah, Signifier lived. they limited branded fusion, which does nothing. Like I'll be honest, like I don't know what that does. Like for like funny Scarlon from the YouTube was kind of upset because branded fusion to one, but also grass to one. Like she was really upset. I don't get it. I'll be real, I don't get it. Um, I mean, I guess having more copies of Brand Fusion is better than not, obviously, for like a consistency a little bit, but more just repeatability of the card. But can't you already repeatedly use that card anyways through other archetypal me? I just felt like the most nothing hit that solves no problems with what Brandon is doing right now. Very cool and epic, except not at all. Like, why? You could have just banned Sanctifier and just handled the actual problem. Like, this ban list has kind of told us that you're kind of okay with just these floodgate turbo strategies because you didn't hit Ritual Beast enough or at all really outside of losing Apo, and for Branded you just slapped him on the wrist. And it's just like, what? And it's not like Brandon would even be bad without the damn puppet. You could just. Brandon's a crazy amount of tools that he could be doing, but it's better off just doing the other thing. I don't get it. Um, some people might be upset that like Caesar didn't get banned. Maybe I saw like MBT. MBT went to a locals and jammed the Snake Eye list with Caesar. I feel like that's kind of cope. I ain't gonna lie, Chief. I feel like if you're trying to get Caesar on the board with your Snake Eye deck, you're really stretching it, bud. But maybe it's good enough. I don't know. I'm not very crazy freaking out about Snake Eye like everyone else is, but I get why everyone else is upset that Snake Eye didn't like perish instead of just being a functional deck still, just not as repeatable by any means. Its repeatability is way further off. Um, I wish I wasn't yawning so much. I do need to sleep soon. I'm not recording that late though. Don't worry, don't worry. This isn't the 4 a.m. rant. This is like 11, way less late. And yeah, that's just kind of been like everything that I've kind of thought about in terms of like this ban list of like I don't know if this is enough to fix the problems we have in terms of the format. But like I said in the 4 a.m. rant, that's not the problem. I can't like look at this and be like, oh damn, the problem. The format's terrible. Because I don't think that's the case. I think the problems are way more rooted in everything else. I don't know. I'm hoping Fiendsmith goes down in price with this. Snake Eye is obviously about to go down in price because of the tin. Um, I don't really think Fiendsmith is really that strong now without Lacrima as this like and Beatrice, both of them, and also Apo even affecting that. Like it's just like all three of those kind of just like hard hit Fiendsmith in a way that kind of has made it to where it's like it's probably still good. Like I don't doubt that. It's just like I feel like its utility is not necessarily worth it unless your deck doesn't have a real um M board to really care about building into. And I guess Snake Eye is in that position, right? Snake Eye has always just been like the link spam deck. So this is still a suitable link spam that at least achieves something. So we'll see. I can't really say like looking at like the MBT list, like can I just switch over to it even? We're gonna bring up Mr. MBT. Sweet. Aren't you all excited? We're just bringing up the deck list. He just has it like in paper there. Oh, oop. Okay. Ah, I am being blocked. There we go. Um, yeah, I look at this list. What is that? It's like we got the Snake Eye Diabell star, we got the 3 Diabell star, we got a Flamberge, a Oak, a Poplar, a Ash, 3 Engraver, a Lurry, 3 each of Bestial. I'll make it very clear what the bad part about this deck is. It's the 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, uh 17 non-engine in here. Damn, we're still on so much non-engine. However, Beansmith doesn't get into Snake Eye anymore, so that's a thing. Um, I guess the trap is not here for the rabbit because I think that's a joke. I think that's the bit. But yeah. Oh, we're on Aerial Eater in this instance. That probably also makes sense too. Whatever. I feel like he had a different tweet. You know how like a different version of this? Yeah, you had this one. And this one has Necro Equip instead. But like the same list pretty much. And is a lot more comprehensive, I guess. Um this looks fine. That one he just threw together, I guess, so maybe he would want a second oak. I don't know. Oh, there's no call by in here. I guess the oak was replaced by the call by in the paper version, but whatever. But just looking at this, right? It, I'm not particularly impressed by this. It's probably not bad, probably pretty good, but I'm not losing my mind. It's like I'm actually pretty happy with each one of these tools that exist in this extra deck. Like the only annoying guy that's in the extra that I don't like existing is Zealantis, but that's because I don't like Zealantis on a fundamental level because of him just waiting to do something else beyond just being a decent OTK machine. Um, but if that's the most problem I have is just like Zealantis, and then looking at the rest of the stack is just like it's there. And it's like I don't care. Who cares? We're chilling. Um, I will say this ban list feels like it's missing a bit, and I would like if we did more. Um, Presumably the next pack that's gonna come out is gonna make the deck stronger with the new archetype, the one like the fusion archetype that's involved with the Abel Star. in the lore, which will give them more of a board. But like at the same time, it's just like I feel like the choke points are way more notable here than they have been beforehand. Like who knows? Maybe even just hitting the Requiem with a hand trap is like good enough to be like, oh damn, where there goes two bodies. Because it's just like there's so little like actual monsters here that are like doing what you wanted to do. I don't know. I could admit that I might be wrong on my takes here, and we'll see how it pans out. Like I'm not gonna say this deck is like completely terrible. I think Ubel is probably gonna be better though. I think Memento is gonna be crazy cool to see more play out of. Um, I think there are even more decks in the back that are just getting much closer because now it's like Snake Eye is much more tolerable, I think, because their M board is not like so unbearable that you can't really play through it. It's just fine. And I think just like I think it's like good, but I don't think it's great like beforehand. I don't think it was like oppressive. This is not an oppressive deck list by any means. But ah, that's about everything I got to say. Um, who knows? Maybe Konami will see everyone being like, "Ah, damn, this ban list is so bad, I'm leaving." Maybe they'll release ban list 2 in like a month. That'd be like funny. Imagine they tell us like, "Okay, we'll see how it goes for the next month, maybe two, and then we'll re-update you at the beginning in November or something." If they say that, that'd be cool. I'd be pretty pleased with that. I think honestly, having more frequent ban lists, if we can get closer like master, or maybe not as close as like master duel necessarily, but like maybe instead of like every 4 to 5 months as we've been starting to push it, get back more to like that 3, maybe 2, maybe even down to 2 month intervals might be good. I think that'd be that might be ideal. Um, and I'm kind of hopeful. I'm kind of hopeful. I think a deck list like this like is pretty standard. Like I don't know what else. Like obviously different non-engine might be more applicable wherever, but like I think there are much more identifiable instances of like what is and isn't strong here. I don't think it's like much of a mystery at this point of like what makes this not even like a mystery, but like there's not as much like layered protection as it would had before, in the sense that like I could maybe just imperm ash or imperm oak or something, and that might just do like everything and then some. Oh, Nibiru goes crazy now. Like Nibiru does go crazy now. I think that's a big thing to acknowledge, because there's no like real instance where you're gonna get like Caesar on the board early on in a Snake Eye combo, because making your board is kind like it will be made in as a part of the end board, but I don't think it's gonna come up soon enough to where it's just like, oh, now I'm protected by Nibiru, or aha, you had to waste the Nibiru after me just using all this material for nothing. Because in reality, it's like no, that's still useful material because now there isn't like a through line of like connecting the two with like Beatrice like before. So I think this is okay. I think I think this ban list is okay. I will admit when I'm wrong, but yeah. that's about it. This was tech. I'll have more shorts coming up. Keep an eye out for those. Check out my other messy rants, I guess. This one's not really a messy rant. This one was a little more involved. Like I clicked around a bit. I went to like different tweets and stuff. Like I did things. I was kind of cool. So I wouldn't call this messy. However, I will call this like just banlist thoughts and opinions. And I'm excited to see how things go. Actually, I'm probably gonna start even playing the format soon myself. Uh, so we'll see what happens. This was Tech. Good all. Hey, bit pop.